Thank you and welcome. Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2026. It's 3 p.m. We are in the Township of Greater Madawaska at 19 Parnell Street. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Greater Madawaska calls to order the March 19th, 2026 regular council meeting at 3 p.m.
Thank you. Would you please stand for O Canada? Oh, sorry, we need a mover. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Tripp to second, and all in favor to call. There we go. Carried. Now we'll do O Canada. Thank you. Please be seated. As we gather in chambers, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. And I would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We'd also like to thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Thank you, Miigwech. We'll now move on to 4.1, the approval of the agenda. Resolution, please.
That the agenda of the council meeting of March 19th, 2026 be approved as amended with the addition of item 7.1 delegation, Linda Kearns banned dog.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That is carried, so approved. We'll now move on to 5.1, the approval of the minutes. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following minutes are approved by council. February 19th, 2026 regular council, March 12th, 2026 public meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Tripp. You've had a chance to read through these. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now on to 5.2, resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following minutes are accepted by council. January 27th, 2026 Canada Day Committee and February 3rd, 2026 Recreation and Culture Committee.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. We've had a chance to review these. All in favor? That is so carried. Thank you. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? There is none seen. Thank you. We'll now move on to 7.1, delegation. 7.1, Linda Kearns, banned dog. Linda, is that, I take it that is you? If you'd like to sit at that table and just turn the mic on so it's green. And just pull the mic a bit closer to you too, if you would.
Okay.
Just so we can hear. And thank you. If you'd like to introduce yourself and
Yes, my name is Linda Kearns, and I am here to beg the mercy of council on behalf of our dog Coda, who has been banned from the township. I understand from the bylaw that if the dog is trained, he would be considered to be brought back into the township. So I guess it was in November, we received a notice that the dog had to, or I guess before that, the dog had to go. So I left with the dog. And we had a hard time, a very hard time, finding a place for him. I spent 2 nights in a hotel and 4 nights on the road. My husband was 11 nights on the road. And then we finally found someone who would take the dog. and he has been very well trained, and he's now e-collar trained, as a matter of fact. He definitely has the stamp of approval. Prior to this incident, we were actually training the dog with Scarlet, Nice Dog Scarlet, and he has a certificate from her, and there'll be something coming from the others, I suppose. So I would like council to consider the matter. When my husband challenged the last 2 tickets that were, the tickets were said to be, what do they call it? Not canceled, but withdrawn. That's what it was. The charges were withdrawn. So there was no evidence, there was no chance to say anything. But last month you couldn't hear my plea because it was before the courts. It is not anymore. And I would like you to consider having him back in the township. My daughter is special needs, and he's a part of our support system. We love him dearly, and she is stimulated and amused and comforted by his presence, and he's part of our family. So it's unfortunate what's gone on, but it's been 3 years, actually, since the first ticket, and I know now I should have argued that ticket, but I didn't. And so one thing led to another, and every year there was something else, since my neighbors decided to be whatever. So it would not have been my first choice to e-collar train him, but he is being e-collar trained. And I've also bought a fence, and he definitely has worn a muzzle on township property. One of the reasons he was said to be banned was that we hadn't cooperated. But as a matter of fact, we did. Anyway, we never really had any questions from bylaw. So, you know, I really don't know how this has come to be. We never had bylaw in our township before. We didn't. And I think this has been an extreme, a very extreme punishment, for the dog has not done that much to harm anybody, okay? And so this, I believe it's in your power to do something about it. And we have been paying a great deal of money to have him boarded in a good place. He's been fully assessed, and they certainly don't feel he's a dangerous dog in any way. So there should be nothing standing in the way of bringing him home. But we were told that if we didn't remove him from the township, we would be given a $5,000 fine. Someone would come and pick up the dog, and he would have to be taken somewhere and assessed, you know. So I left with him. And after that, they pursued me, wanting to know where I was. So it's been very, very troubling, all of it. And it's cost us a lot of money. But it's also costing the township a lot of money. I just think it's appalling. That's what I think it is. I don't think any family should ever have to go through this. The bylaw has been weaponized. Have you all seen my email when I couldn't come here the last time? Have you seen that email? Are you aware that I sent an email?
You can refresh our memory if you wish.
This is what I said. I thought I would be able to speak directly to the council today, but it seems I needed to apply a month in advance. I'm therefore writing an appeal for help regarding our dog Coda. He was banned from the township after repeated calls of complaint to bylaw over a near 3-year period. This harassment was undoubtedly intentional by people who knew the end from the beginning. We feel that bylaw has been weaponized. This was our 3rd Christmas spoiled. We never saw this coming. He is family, and we consider him an emotional support dog. Our daughter Carmen is special needs and terribly distraught. We have all been devastated. After over 2 weeks, we were finally able to place him where he could be boarded and trained as well. His advanced training with e-collar is nearing completion, and we are requesting permission to bring him home. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. If I need to, I am requesting a time to speak directly to the council. However, after all this time, a speedy resolution will be good. We have been through enough, and I'm sure Coda has too. He has done nothing so bad that he should be treated this way. His training was interrupted here, but he received his certificate and has been working hard since then to turn the situation around. Surely together we can put an end to this sad story and have a better way forward with our neighbors. Thank you again, gratefully, Linda Kearns. So here is Coda's certificate. And like I say, there will be more coming. They were very anxious to know where the dog was, okay? In fact, they're still asking, where is the dog? Fact is, we did take the dog out of the township as requested. And we are very concerned where this is going, because I feel that it's very unfair what's happened, and frankly don't trust them to know where the dog is. But I do, and I will have the credentials for the dog, and he's certainly been very well looked after by people who know all about dangerous dogs. Okay? No, there's no reason for any of this.
Okay.
So I hope you put your heads together and come to a conclusion that will be just.
All right, thank you. You're aware that those charges were withdrawn, but those charges were withdrawn as a plea deal, correct?
I have
When you
no
were
idea, I wasn't there.
before a justice of a peace.
I wasn't there.
Okay, so because this was a matter before the courts, and the decision went with the justice of the peace, and part of that plea deal to drop the charges was to have the dog removed from the township to the justice of the peace.
Yeah, and he was.
Right, so we don't have any authority to bring the dog back. That was a deal done before a provincial court.
Yeah.
And if you wish to appeal that, you would have to go through the appeal process through the provincial courts and say that the judge or the JP was in error in law or something to bring it back before the courts. So we as a council have no power over this. This was a provincial court's justice of the peace
But it's done.
that entered into an agreement with you, or whoever it was. They entered into agreement that the charges would be withdrawn if the dog was removed from the township.
Which it was.
And if the dog was brought back, those charges could be then put back on you because you've reneged on the deal that's been done before the courts. So we as a council, we have absolutely no authority in this at all. It was before the provincial courts. A justice of the provincial courts entered into a deal with whoever was your representative. Was it somebody of your family, whoever that representative was?
It would be Mike, my husband.
And we have no authority to reverse that. It was a decision made by a provincial court justice of the peace.
Well, somewhere in the bylaw, it says that if a dog is trained, council would consider bringing him back.
The fact is, this was a deal made before a provincial court judge. We cannot renege on that deal. We cannot, we don't have the authority
But
at all.
it's not before the courts anymore.
No, because the reason it's not before the courts is because a plea deal was made. And part of that plea deal was the charges be withdrawn if the dog was removed. So that is something that is at a provincial court judge's level or a justice of the peace level. And this council has absolutely no authority to change that deal that was made at a provincial court, unfortunately. So I thank you for your time, but unfortunately, we are not able to do anything.
Well, that's too bad, because I stand by what I say. This is very wrong. It's very wrong. This is an out-of-control situation as far as I'm concerned, and it should have never happened. Never. You know, they spoke of this being reset. Oh, it resets. But if it resets, how did it go on over 3 years? You know,
Well, I thank you
beyond my
I
ken.
thank you for your time and coming in today,
Yes,
but unfortunately,
I understand.
we're unable to assist.
We'll see.
All right,
We'll do the best we can with your information.
all right, you take care. Bye. And for our viewing members and Sean, we're going to take about a 5-minute break just to recess here and just bring in some more staff. With that short little delay, we will now move on to section 8, myself, the mayor's report. Since our last regular council meeting of February 19th, I represented the municipality at 8 county meetings, 1 public meeting in Greater Madawaska. On March 4th, I took part of the 2026 Municipal Flood Warning and Forecasting and Warning Information Session put on by the provincial government. On March 5th, I attended the Ottawa Valley Tourism Association Board meeting in Petawawa. On March 10th, I took part in the provincial government Ministry of Environment's briefing on Ontario's next steps in modernization of conservation authorities. And then on Saturday, March 14th, I was fortunate to be able to attend the DACA Center, Madawaska Hall, and the Calabogie Community Center for their St. Patty Days community events. All were fabulous, had a great time talking to everybody, and thank you. And as always, everything was top notch. And then I've got something that I've got to bring up that I received a letter. It was dated March 18th, but I didn't receive it until after our last council meeting. And it is from the, well, a very high level of education, the Association of Municipality Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario. Dear Mayor Weir, on behalf of the associations of the managers, clerks, treasurers of Ontario, I am extremely pleased to announce that Kristen Arbanoth has successfully graduated from the association's Diploma Municipal Administrators. Moreover, has been inducted into the AMCOTA's Academic Honors Roll. We recognize the high academics that recognizes high academic achievers. The Diploma for Municipal Administrations is designed to provide academic foundation specifically for the career development of Ontario municipality professionals. Graduates of this diploma are informed professionals with comprehensive understanding of the complex and rapidly evolving municipal environment. They can immediately implement their knowledge to make a positive impact. To graduate from for this diploma, the following must have been completed: the Municipal Administration Program, the Municipal Accounting and Finance Program, the Municipal Law Program, and the Employment Law and Human Resources Program. On behalf of Council, Kristen, thank you so much and congratulations. It is so nice to see that you have that. I know some people might say it's like a master's almost, but I don't think we'll go there though. All right, next we will move on to 9.1, committee and boards. 9.1 is the Candidate Committee. Councillor Tripp, please.
Thank you very much. Very short report. We're continuing to meet. Things are falling into place. We have another meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. We're just locking in some of the events and activities. We're still looking for volunteers, but that's the traditional spot where we are now normally. So we'll start in the next couple of months putting together a volunteer roster team for the big day. But it's going well. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to 9.2, the Library Board. Councillor Thompson.
Hi, yes, thank you. We've got some interesting news. The library is part of the Renfrew County Small Town Shorts Festival that will showcase original film work from our area. This is an opportunity for local budding artists to create a 1 to 5 minute short that will be viewed for the first time at the O'Brien Theatre in Arnprior on May 23rd. Details are online and at the library. You can pick up submission forms. It's a really great opportunity to shine a light on local talent, highlight beautiful Greater Madawaska, and have a great time at attending our first local film festival in May. There are a few other municipalities in the area that are participating. Plus, we received an award of $1,000 from Walmart for the expansion of our Francophone media. The library will purchase popular titles to encourage youth to continue with their French language training. Currently, in the weekly class visits through the library, we have volunteers who read to the classes in both English and French, and there have been requests to expand on what's available for youth and adults, and to expand the adult Francophone titles. I know this brings me to what we would like to see is more of these programs going throughout the township. So I'm hoping that's something that we can work with township staff to perhaps extend, as I know we have Francophones and people who would like to be able to speak French everywhere. And related to that, very much so, I'm excited that Library CEO Ruth Jones has submitted some ideas for upcoming outreach to Caitlin, the Seniors Active Living Centers Program Coordinator. I don't know if that's her official title, but that people know her as that. And she's asked for a follow-up meeting with the library board so we can talk about how some of our ideas to work with the township activities to extend programming beyond Calabogie, particularly in the West End, could roll out. So I don't know what they've talked about, but I'm excited that this is starting. And later I'll speak about it after Jeff, Councillor Levesque does his recreation, because I think there are also possibilities for synergies between what library can provide and what the Canada Day, not Canada Day, but the your committee can do. So yeah, there are all kinds of things that the library does now that could be done elsewhere very easily. And the idea is to have township staff work with the library and local. We have so many community groups that put on programming, and what they might need is a little help. That, you know, the library has programs. Well, would you like to put it as part of your offering? So rather than try to build a mini library and staff it, which would be crazy expensive, to find a way to work with existing community groups without duplication to get it. You know, we've got there are things like learn how to use Ancestry. Like through the library, there are have been sessions held about how to use the library resources to look up Ancestry, and I think that'd be of great interest. It's a matter of, you know, a session in other areas, you know, Ward 2 as well, not just East-West. You know, chess clubs, play and learn, family day. There's the Ginza Rink that has, you know, an ice surface. So family day activities that the library puts on, you know, maybe could happen at the Ginza Rink as well with some help from volunteers. So I won't go through the whole list of exciting ideas, but yeah, just to say, it looks like things are really happening. I have to thank the CAO and staff for helping us work this out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Levesque, Recreation and Culture Committee, please.
Thank you. We met last week on March 10th, and planning continues for the spring and summer events, so things are starting to come together. In particular, was shared with us the status of the booklet that a booklet and information will be available to all of the short-term accommodation and on the township. So a lot of work has gone into that in the background by volunteers, and it's very comprehensive. It basically covers anything and everything you can imagine and we can do within the township, including hiking, biking, fishing, you name it, everything. So that's coming to fruition soon. I don't have a date yet, but there is some follow-up, as well as putting together the entire comprehensive calendar view of what the summer will look like. So we know that the township publishes a weekly calendar on what's going on, and this is more of a recreational focused type of calendar that'll be available throughout the township. And that's about it.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, you seem like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, very much so. I would like to ask, first of all, do you have any activities planned for anywhere other than Calabogie this year? Your committee, of course.
Yeah, I think one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, that I think we have one of the music in the park in somewhere else.
I believe it was discussed. I don't know if a date's been set yet or not.
Yeah, but that was planned. That was part of
Okay, that was planned for last year and didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you reminded me twice on that.
yeah, and thank you for remembering. Would you like, I'm wondering why it is not happening the way I would like. I'm wondering if I can help in any way. Would you like me to give you a list of ideas that the committee can talk about?
Sure.
Or who's the chair should I be speaking to?
Yeah, the chair is you can forward to the chair, and yeah, or we can, you know, have you come as a delegation as well.
Yeah, I would like to do that. Because I understand most of the committee members are from this end, and they might not be familiar with things like the Ginza Rink, which, you know, you might be hearing about for the first time.
Leslie is on the committee. She's the only other representative outside of the Calabogie area.
Lois, do we have questions directly to the
Sorry,
his
we're still
report?
here?
Is there, like, of what he presented, is there questions on that? Or can this be taken offline with the chair?
I just would like to know if you agree that we can take it offline and we can get things going. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you, and again, I'm going to be brief. Our last meeting was canceled due to the ice storm. So we moved all the agenda items forward, and we'll be meeting in another 3 weeks. So at the next council, I'll bring the full report for the activities over the last month. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our committee and boards. We'll now move on to Section 10, Public Works Department, 10.1, Bylaw 14-2026, Controlled Traffic and Parking. Resolution, please.
That council repeal bylaw 08-2026 being a bylaw to regulate and control traffic and parking in the Township of Greater Madawaska, and that council adopt bylaw 14-2026 being a revised bylaw to regulate and control traffic and parking.
Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Tripp. And the background, please, Steve.
At February's council meeting, bylaw 08-2026, they update the township traffic parking bylaw and repeal the bylaw 49-2020, 70-2020, and 19-21. The addition of items 11C regarding pushing and depositing snow onto roadways as provided below was added to the bylaw at the time. No person shall push, blow, shovel, place, or deposit snow, ice, or slush from private property onto municipal road, street, highway, sidewalk, shoulder, boulevard, or snowplow turnaround. For greater certainty, this section applies whether snow, ice, slush is deposited manually or by mechanical means. So discussion, following council's approval, staff proceeded to implement the identified and prohibited related pushing snow onto municipal roads. It's addressed in the townships. It's actually in the township's refuse and debris bylaw, which includes an established fine for the offense of $500. To avoid a duplicate, to ensure consistent enforcement across the bylaws, the revised bylaw removes the offense from the traffic and parking bylaw fine scheduled and will enforce it through the refuse and debris bylaw instead. The schedule has also been adjusted to ensure the offense wording in the section aligns in the requirement bylaw enforcing tickets.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen. Calls this question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 10.2, tender PW 01-2026, crushing and granular of M. A resolution, please.
That council award tender PW 01-2026 to Greenwood Paving in the amount of $151,622.40, including net HST for the crushing of 20,000 tons of granular M gravel.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please, Steve.
So in 2024, the township started crushing some granular M out of the stockpile in the township's public works yard. It was provided by OPG through the dam project. This has been a great resource for the township for road washouts, gravel roads, culverts, parking lots, and fall and freeze cycle. Need to patch for potholes before it's unthawed for grading. We approximately have 2,000 tons remaining in the yard right now from the last time we crushed, but it'll be definitely used in the next few weeks, probably once the thaw starts, and we'll be fixing bad areas and gravel roads, so that'll be used up probably in the next month or so. So the tenders received was from Greenwood Paving for $151,622.40. McGrimmon Holdings, $158,745.60. McRae Excavating, $172,992. And Bonisher Excavating for 2020, $615.68. So just for an example of the price difference, so approximately every 1,000 ton is $13.15 per ton picked up at the quarry. So if we take our own tandem truck to a quarry, that's what we pay. And for every 1,000 ton we have delivered from a quarry with a belly dump, is around $19.47. It's almost $20 a ton. So when we get 1,000 ton of this gravel crushed at $7.45, it's only $7,000. So that's quite a savings for. The financial implications, the contract price at $7.45 per ton, 20,000 ton, totaling $151,622.40, includes HST, net HST. While the full quantity is being secured through this award, the township expects to use approximately 5,000 tons per year. So as a result, not all material will be used in 2026. So we'll be able to use the remaining gravel will be recorded as inventory and carried over into future years, with the year-end adjustments being made.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? Councillor Tripp.
Just a comment. This is a really impressive report, and I want to thank you for it. The arrival of the stone was a huge windfall for us, and your ability to find a way to turn it into the crushed gravel was quite impressive. And this is something that we're paying out of this year's budget, but it's going to be an asset for us for the next 5 years or 4 years going forward. But it's really impressive, the relationship you built between OPG to get the stone or the gravel, the rocks dropped off, and then to come up with a way at $7.45 a ton is a huge tax saving for us. So much appreciate the initiative and your approach to bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns from council? No, thank you, Steve. I will call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 10.3, tender PW 03-2026, HL4 hot mix asphalt. Resolution, please.
That council award tender PW 03-2026 HL4 hot mix asphalt for Calabogie Community Center parking lot and Wolf Rapids Road cul-de-sac to McRae Excavating Ltd. for $55,640.89, including net HST.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Thompson. Steve, background, please.
So council has approved the 2026 capital projects for this year. The staff issued tenders in early February, and the tender closing date was March 2nd, 2026. Staff opened the tenders on March 2nd on the bids and tenders and confirmed the receipt of 6 different tenders. D-Rock Paving, $54,660. McRae Excavating Limited, $55,640. GOA Paving, $55,849. D. Parsons Construction Limited, $70,669. Bonnechere Valley Excavating at $77,286. And Greenwood Paving for $90,865. Although D-Rock Paving submitted a tender approximately $1,000 lower than staff recommended award contract to McRae Excavating Limited, due to their demonstrated experience completing similar work for the township and familiarity with the local conditions. Given the minimum price difference, approximately 1.7 of the total bid, staff determined that McRae Excavating Limited presents the best overall value and the lowest risk to the municipality. For financial implication, the award of HL4 hot mix asphalt for the Calabogie Community Center parking lot and the Wolf Rapids cul-de-sac has a combined tender value of $55,640.89, including HST. This amount will be funded through the 2006 capital budget, which includes $65,000 for the community center parking lot, $20,000 for the Wolf Rapids cul-de-sac.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, and concerns from council? Councillor Popke.
When you say the parking lot of the community center, is it the existing pavement or is it going to include sort of around the side of the building?
So it is going to include where the asphalt is now, so that'll be removed. And then the roadway from Mill Street in to the parking area plus the parking area that's there now.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? No, thank you, Steve, for working on this and the explanation of the why we picked McRae over the lowest bid, and thank you for your experience in that and understanding. So thank you. Do we have any other questions? No? Okay, let's call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. I think, Steve, you're going to be up for a while here, right? We got 10.4, tender PW 042026, granular M, various road and capitals project. Resolution, please.
The council award tender PW 04 2026 granular M, various roads and capital projects to Miller Aggregates, a division of Miller Paving Limited, for $309,431.80, net HST included.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. A background, please, Steve.
So as presented and approved during the 2026 budget deliberations, each year the municipality uses granular M on municipal roads for loose top maintenance and for capital projects. So staff issued the tenders for granular M various roads in February, and the tender closing date March 9th. The tenders received were as follows. Miller Aggregate, a division of Miller Paving Limited, was $309,431.80, and Bonnechere Valley Incorporated was $324,820.97, and RJ Sal and Son Limited was $364,102.36. Staff evaluated the tenders and received specification requirements outlined in the tender documents and tender values. Based on the evaluation, staff is recommending the award the tenders as followed to Miller Aggregate, a division of Miller Paving. The financial implications, the approved budget, 2006 budget includes $140,000 for loose top maintenance in the granular M, and the tender value for loose top maintenance will be $124,910, net HT included. And the tender value capital projects is $184,521.40, net HST included, which will be covered by the 2026 approved capital budget for Wolf Rapids Road, Cooper Hill Road, Kennedy Road, and Graphite Bay Road.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? I've got one question. The granular that we were talking about crushing, there was a granular M, and that was 20,000 tons. And now this is for granular M as well.
Yeah.
And you broke it down for us when we were doing the crushing about what it is per ton. Mm-hmm. What are we looking at per ton here? Did I miss that?
Yeah, we're looking at it. It's all different for different areas. So like the closer you are to the quarry, it's less ton. So like Calabogie area, you're looking at 19 to 20. But the farther you get, like Graphite Bay, you're looking in the 22, 23 range. But like there is some in Madawaska area, they're up like $26, $27 a ton. So it's all depends on the distance you're traveling.
Thank you, sir. If there are no other questions, calls the question. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you, Steve. We will now move on to 11.1, bylaw 15-2026, acquisition and assumption of lands as public highway, Church Farm Road. Resolution, please.
The council approves bylaw 15-2026 for the acquisition assumption as a public highway, a portion of Church Farm Road, designated as Part 2, inclusive on reference plan 49R20921.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Tripp. Background, please, Kristen.
Thank you. So this report is associated with an active consent application associated with County File number B9124, which involves lands adjacent to Church Farm Road. The current application proposes a lot addition to provide an existing property with direct frontage and access to the municipal road. And as part of the consent conditions, the applicant is required to survey and dedicate lands for road widening along both the severed and the retained parcels. So this includes a portion of Church Farm Road that is currently situated on privately owned property for which the township does not yet hold title to. And through this process, the township is seeking to formally acquire and assume this portion of the roadway, which has been identified as Part 2 on Reference Plan 20921, in order to formally acquire ownership of the road. And as always, with all of our road assumptions, all costs associated with the transfer and the registration are borne by the applicant.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 11.2, bylaw 16-2026, acquisition and assumption of lands as public highway, Church Farm Road. And resolution, please.
The council approves bylaw 16-2026 for the acquisition and assumption as a public highway, a portion of Church Farm Road, designated as Part 2 and 3 inclusive on Reference Plan 49R20922.
Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Tripp. Background, please, Kristen.
Yep. So similar to the last report, this bylaw is also associated with a consent application associated with 175 Church Farm Road, which is proposing the creation of one new residential lot. So similar to the previous one, the condition of consent requires the applicant to survey and dedicate lands for road widening adjacent to both the severed and retained lands. And that is recognized as parts 2 and 3 on reference plan 20922, which the township is seeking to formally acquire and assume as part of Church Farm Road. And as always, all the costs are associated to be borne by the applicant.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to, 11.3, bylaw 20-2026, development agreement, 6881661, Canada Inc. Resolution, please.
The council approves bylaw 20-2026 to enter into a development agreement in accordance with section 5126 and section 5312 of the Planning Act with 6881661 Canada Inc.
Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please, Kristen.
Thanks. So this is a development agreement. It is also associated with the condition of consent associated with the creation of 3 new residential lots adjacent to Lanark Road. And a condition of the consent, the owner is required to enter into a development agreement. The agreement is intended to implement the approved site plan concept to ensure that future development of the lots respects the identified constraints, including setbacks from the environmental protection areas and the minor water courses. While these features are not evaluated wetlands, the minimum 30-meter setback for dwellings, wells, septic systems is required through that defined building envelope included in the site plan. And then, of course, in response to the changes with the Land Registry Office that now no longer allows us to attach site plans directly on title, we now have to kind of describe them within the agreement and then retain the site plan on file. So that's kind of noted in the agreement. But ultimately, the development agreement will still be registered on title to each of the severed parcels to ensure that future owners are aware of these development constraints.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 11.4, Dark Skies Initiatives. Resolution, please.
That council directs staff to proceed with an education and awareness initiative respecting dark skies, promoting responsible outdoor lighting practices while continuing to consider lighting impacts through existing development review processes where applicable.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So this report before council is essentially background on the township's consideration of the dark sky initiatives. following council's direction back in August to explore the development of a dark sky bylaw. The report highlights that while some municipalities, not necessarily within Renfrew County, have implemented formal bylaws or policies to address light pollution, others rely on education and existing planning tools they already have. Within our township, lighting is already considered through development review processes like site plan control. And so we do have some provisions within our property standards bylaw to address light direction and spill. But ultimately, staff are recommending a phased approach, if necessary, beginning with an education and awareness initiative to promote responsible outdoor lighting practices. This would include sharing best practices with residents and incorporating, dark sky friendly principles into, our own future municipal projects. Should additional measures be required in the future, council could consider advancing to a formal policy and then ultimately, if necessary, an enforcement bylaw. But for now, the education approach for now allows the township to promote environmental stewardship and the township's rural character through education while also minimizing the administrative and enforcement burdens from the onset. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, Councillor Thompson. Oh, please go ahead.
Thank you. I like this approach. And, anytime when it comes to anything to do with the environment, you get better buy-in when people understand the reason for the rule and they agree that it should be done rather than it's a rule, you have to do it. So I like that approach. My only question is that if property standards bylaw covers it and it's already, in, site plan controls, et cetera, what more would a formal policy achieve beyond that? If we, is there anything else that we would change?
Like if you were to go beyond just an educational component, or like a policy would be more so, it would provide direction to staff on how we are to implement specific requirements of the dark sky policy. So if certain buildings and structures need to have specific lighting on their buildings, parking lots, that sort of thing, a policy can help with that before getting to more of a bylaw approach. So it really all depends on how far you want to go with it. For the most part, in terms of the bylaws that I have looked at or researched, is a lot of it is associated with providing buffers around already sensitive land uses like conservation areas. There are some that have advanced like preservation areas. I think North Frontenac has something similar where they have this dark sky preserve where you can go and bring satellites and that sort of stuff. So their bylaws kind of speak to the protection of those areas. But when it comes to policy and stuff, yeah, you can certainly implement additional measures through policy in terms of directing development a certain way, which is something we sort of already do when we do site plan control, when we're looking at development through site plan. Our current property standards, there is a small provision in there that does allow an enforcement mechanism if there is light that is being directed onto somebody else's property and it is bothering them. So there is a small enforcement piece already there. It's just essentially like, how far do you want to go with it? Right now, lots of people don't know what dark sky initiatives are, right? So that's why it's kind of moving with the educational piece first to kind of educate people on what that looks like. Can they just simply take measures upon themselves to do better and update their properties and such, rather than, having neighbor disputes and going back and forth between what light should look, that sort of thing, right? So it just all depends on how far you want to go with it.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Yes. I'm wondering what the educational component would look like. Will it be when people are building new homes? Will the CBO, the building official say, by the way, this is something you should know about? Like where?
Yep, there's many different ways. Like I've seen dedicated pages on municipal websites related to dark skies. There's been pamphlets that you can provide residents. We can utilize our social media pages to highlight, did you know? Like, do you know about dark sky policies or provisions or anything like that? What lights would be better to be used on your home to kind of create those dark sky atmospheres. So, yep, there's many ways. We can do pamphlets. We can do stuff on our website. We can have stuff when building permits are dropped off. Here's a pamphlet to say, have you thought about considering implementing some of these into your new build? So there is definitely some components that we can certainly implement. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Tripp?
Thank you. I quite like this trajectory of starting with education and community discussion, and I do think, to Councillor Thompson's point, as this starts to move, it's going to get legs underneath it, and community education will naturally evolve into a policy that makes sense. But I'm pleased to see we're ahead of the curve on this. Other communities have been talking about it. Other municipalities have things in place. We are on the cusp, I think, of significant growth and significant change. And as we expand and develop, there's going to be increased pressures on our rural feel. And this is, I think, an important discussion. If it's going to be owned by the people in the township, we have to have a discussion that they feel a buy-in to it. And that's going to come, I think, from what you're progressing to do on the website and the Did You Knows. And it's a soft approach to roll it out as opposed to coming in right away with legislation, which doesn't fit at this point. So I think it's the right approach, and I'm pleased to see we're taking it on now, because I do think in the next 5 and 10 years, there's going to be more people coming up, and it's a discussion we need to start having if you want to maintain this rural feel. Dark skies is a big part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Popke?
With the growing number of people coming out this way, most of them come from the city, Ottawa, Toronto, wherever. They have never seen a dark sky. It's light all the time. So they're not going to have any knowledge of what a dark sky actually is, let alone seen one. So I think it's going to be hard to educate a lot of these people just on the fact that they don't know any better. And they've always had light, and they won't be able to go without it.
Thank you. Supplemental, Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, just as an information piece, as the editor of the Madawaska Highlander, I came across somebody who had written some dark sky articles for Lanark, I forget which, and he is going to be adapting his series to suit our format. So already there's an educational component that will be helpful. And it starts with, have you ever seen a dark sky? Have you actually seen the stars? You know, and so I think it'll be pretty powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Levesque.
Thank you for that. So I agree on the approach, and I think education and awareness is really important. It would be important regardless of whether we're doing a bylaw or not. The question I have for you guys is for phase 2 and beyond, how do we measure? So if we do education and awareness, how are we going to get to a thought that there might even be a phase 2 or a 3 required when we don't? Like, how are we going to know if something's going to be required beyond education and awareness?
I mean, typically when you get to implementing a bylaw, there's an enforcement component of it. And most of the bylaws I've looked at, like the fines start at $500. So, I mean, are we receiving complaints associated with light pollution and that sort of thing? That can be something that can be measured. Right now, that's not something we typically get on a day-to-day basis, but that's not to say maybe in the next year or two, while we're going through this educational component, that people aren't realizing, wow, like, you know what, my neighbor has some really bright lights and they do affect me. And maybe we might start seeing some of those components come forward. And then maybe at that point we can say, well, we are starting to get some complaints. We are starting to see that maybe there are some issues here. And then maybe we can move forward with that next policy implementation approach.
Which may in fact come from the education.
Potentially, yeah, exactly.
Just a second.
Yep.
Supplemental, yeah.
Piece to that. I think if we do get into considerations, I think starting with our own examples of that. So if we are considering something at the township level, even at a pilot scenario, would be a good thing to demonstrate to the public. And, and secondarily, I think there's 2 aspects of existing dwellings as far as new dwellings. So if we are to implement anything in the future, I think it would be a good target to hit new construction or renovation construction.
Right.
And because I think it'll be very difficult for people to retrofit at a cost when their lights are still working as expected.
Yeah,
I mean? So it'll be difficult for people to go and retrofit all their exterior lights.
Some municipalities have provided like a long period of time to come into conformance. I think like the Huntsville included like a 10-year time frame that existing residential had to, come into compliance within 10 years. So there are those components. Some of the bylaws I've seen have stated that anybody prior to the passing of the bylaw or the policy, they're basically grandfathered up until that point. So any lights prior to that would be grandfathered. The only issue with the enforcement component of that is determining, well, who is grandfathered, if there is a complaint, where did they purchase those lights after and put them on? So it gets sticky that way, but I've seen it both ways where they've provided some grandfathering and where they've also provided a long period of time to allow residents to come into compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Well, you're talking about the education process behind this, and I'd like to thank you for putting this on the agenda today, because it was an education for me, because this is when I was in hospital, this came before us, and I didn't know a thing about it coming forward until I started reading about it. And so the education part's already working.
Good.
But when I did look into it, I started looking into the cost and the administration behind it, and the training that needs to go into it if you were to have bylaw to go in, and it's a very arduous administrative side. So I really appreciate that we're doing an educational side and getting people on it. So thank you for that. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now get on to 11.5, Draft Community Improvement Plan, CIP, resolution, please.
That council receive the draft community improvement plan for review, and that council direct staff to bring a bylaw forward to council to adopt the final community improvement plan.
Thank you. And do we have Ashley online for this?
We get a mover and a seconder, please.
Sorry, Neil, let's get a mover and a seconder first. We'll have that. Councillor Tripp, Councillor Popke. I'm getting ahead of myself today. Thank you. Now do we have Ashley?
I am trying to load my camera. I am here.
Okay.
My camera doesn't seem to be wanting to jump on.
As long as you're not driving.
No, I'm not driving. I'm absolutely in my office right now. But yeah, the camera doesn't seem to be hooking on. Are you guys okay if I just proceed without?
Yep.
Okay.
I was speaking for myself, but rest of council, okay? Yes.
I don't know why it just decided to stop, but it's not working. Anyways, we'll keep trying throughout it. Anyways, just a quick update here. So I'm here to present the community improvement plan for Greater Madawaska, and walk council briefly through the updated version that has been prepared, that has been attached to the agenda here. And that's essentially following the consultation and further refinement that's taken place. So just a brief update again, where we started. Work began with a request to explore whether a community improvement plan would be beneficial to the township. And since that time, staff have developed a plan that is intended to support the priorities identified by council, particularly around housing, economic development, tourism, and community revitalization. A draft version was brought forward in October, as we mentioned last week, and council provided direction to proceed with consultation. That included both a public survey and the statutory public meeting process, which, as of last week, has now been completed. The feedback received has helped inform the vision, goals, and overall structure of this draft plan that is in front of you. So what you see today is a more complete and refined document. So while the overall intent has remained consistent, we've strengthened the plan to make it a bit clearer, more implementable, and better aligned with the township's priorities and county programs. We've added a more fulsome introduction to the document, including a clear explanation of what a CIP is, its purpose, and the area that it applies to, which is a requirement under the Act. We've also outlined the basis for the plan, including the legislative authority under the Planning Act, so it is clear how the township is able to implement this type of program. Based on community consultation and council direction and staff input, we've developed a vision and goals section for the CIP, and it's centered around 5 key areas, which is housing, economic development, community revitalization, sustainability, and partnerships. From an implementation standpoint, which did come up at the last meeting, we've introduced a general program requirements that apply across all incentive programs, outlining how applications will be processed, how funding will be allocated, and what applicants need to be aware of prior to them applying. We've also included an administration and monitoring framework that clearly explains how the program's going to be delivered, meaning how the applications are reviewed, when grant payments occur, what information is required in the application, and how the plan may be amended over time. So the plan also speaks to the township's role in supporting and promoting the program, which was another item of discussion at the public meeting. Recognizing the successful implementation will require ongoing municipal leadership and coordination. So that section has been added. And importantly, the CIP is intended to be flexible. So we wanted to highlight that it is subject to being reviewed and adjusted on an annual basis, and that's going to happen, I would recommend, or as I've recommended in the CIP, it happen alongside the budget to ensure it continues to meet the needs of the community in line with council's priorities. So just to note that we've also broken down each of the incentive programs and increased the amounts to align with the HYPE program. So just something to be aware of, those numbers are a bit higher than they were when we originally presented it back in October. And that is only to maximize the associated revenue for shared initiatives with the county through their HYPE program. It does not mean that this is what you need to give. So the actual amount is established through the budget process. So once approved, let's say the CIP does get approved, we will then have a conversation about how much are we attributing to each program, what are the maximum amounts. Right now they say up to, so they can't go higher than those amounts, but and you can set them to be lower, or you can set it so that you don't have a certain program available for that year. So lots of flexibility there, but what I wanted to do is make sure that you were aligning your maximum amount that you can get back from the HYPE program by increasing those. At this stage, the intent is not to move forward with adoption today, so there's no bylaw being presented, but rather to provide council with the opportunity to review the document in detail, recognizing that you probably only got a few days to take a look at this. So staff are recommending that the plan also be circulated to the County of Renfrew, just to make sure that alignment is good with the HYPE program and confirm that the township is well positioned to access those funding opportunities. And then following that review, we can bring it back to council for any final feedback and consideration of adoption at a subsequent meeting. So that's where it's at right now, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions or address any concerns that council has.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you for this report and presentation. It was very well done. Any questions, concerns from council at this time? Ashley, Councillor Thompson.
I think at the last meeting we asked some questions that it suggested we should ask them again. I don't know if anyone else remembers that, but I'll just do my question then, see what happens, unless anyone else made other notes. But my question at the previous meeting was that I believe it's in the HYPE program, the Renfrew County HYPE program, they also include other uses such as a need to improve municipal services such as roads, sidewalks, street lighting, parking, sewers, water supply, parks and recreation, community facilities, the waterfront areas, or streetscaping. And improvements may apply to some or all of the listed services. So my question is, first of all, these are things of concern to us. These are things that we need to work on. How would it work? What would a community group come forward to ask for the money? Would it, it's our assets. So that was, I think, my question, if I remember it right. I guess I'm asking Ashley?
Yep, it would be Ashley right now, because I don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, I did get a chance to take a look at the county HYPE program in more detail, and specifically to that section. They have it in the community improvement plan, which is not a bad thing, because I'd say that we could easily add a similar statement into our administration section and our the municipal, our roles and responsibilities in the program. Which I think is kind of where they were headed with how they worded it in theirs. So when you actually look at the programs that they have available, so the things that people can apply for, there isn't anything specific to our community group applying for that except for the trails portion. So the trail program was the only one that's related right now. And we have added that in ours as well. Not to say that that's something that you guys decide to do this year. What I was trying to do was just align it in case you do decide in the future to offer that program. You don't have to amend the entire plan. But theoretically speaking, just to answer the question, you could create a program that would allow a resident or a not-for-profit or a business to say, hey, I want to improve the beautification on the municipal side of things, and I'm willing to contribute a portion of it. And it could be a split cost, let's say, for the street light to get replaced, or a bench to be added to the sidewalk, or the sidewalk to be, there could be some elements of that. What I would caution against is doing anything like that until your secondary plan is done and your urban design is established. So you really want to make sure that the light post you put up is going to match all the other light posts and the sidewalks are going to line up. And so without that comprehensive plan, it's hard to have that program in place. Certainly we could look at adding the same language though, as part of our contribution, that this is something that we are looking at in order to improve our community as part of the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Supplemental.
I was just curious, we mentioned community groups as do we need to have an official business improvement area or a nonprofit organization? So if a bunch of people want to put in a trail, do they have to be incorporated or formally, who can apply? It might be in there, but I didn't see it.
So it's not in the community improvement plan as drafted in ours specifically. I think it needs a bit more research if that's the direction we're headed. So what I typically see happen from a municipal standpoint when they have these trail plans or these trail improvement plans figured out is they'll have a parks and trails master plan, and it'll highlight, the goals of the municipality to build connections with trails throughout different municipalities or different areas within your municipality. And if someone is coming to the table to say, I'm willing to put some money down and do the labor portion of this trail development, and you already have it set up as your intended path, you can work with them through the community improvement plan to allocate the capital that you might need to put in, like let's say, or the material and the building, the actual elements that they need, and contribute those to the free labor that are willing to put it in. What we don't want to see happen is trails happen all over the place willy-nilly and not with an overall plan on where they're going, because eventually what ends up happening is those trail systems, if they're not properly established, could become a municipal responsibility later, or perceived to be a municipal responsibility later, and you're taking on extra costs and maintenance. If they're everywhere, then that starts to become a hindrance to the taxes.
Thank you. Follow-up or supplemental? Different?
It's more of the same, the community groups. Would things like surveying trails that are approved by the township to be in place, that's a cost but needs to be done, would that fall under this?
I would say no, because you're not essentially sharing costs with anyone, right? So that would just be a part of your budget. So if you're looking at seeing a survey done for the trail system that you have developed or want to develop, that would be a budget request or a strategic initiative, right?
Actually, it would be referencing here an actual trail that a community group wants to develop.
Oh, okay.
That is on, say, an unopened road allowance or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Requiring surveying.
Okay. So in that instance, if the program was active and you wanted it to be an eligible cost for these individuals to come to you and say, I want this surveyed, this is what the cost is going to be, and you could contribute a portion of it or 100% of it, that's certainly something we can look at doing in a trails program. So is that something that you'd like me to incorporate? Because I don't think I had that exact example in my thought process when I was developing that section.
I'll leave that between you and Renee.
If council would be looking to have something like that as part of it, keeping in mind that it's not uncommon for residents to request to use unopened road allowance in surveying. So it could cross some lines that we need some more guidance on what would be expected in these cases.
Is a next step, if we want to do it, will that be something you get back to council on for a decision, or?
Right now, we'd want to know if council is looking for us to look into reviewing how we could add this or not. Yeah, we'd be looking for direction, because right now you have the CIP as presented, so if council's looking for changes, we'll be looking for council's direction for that.
Thank you. Ashley, this is a living and breathing document that can be changed as we go when circumstances dictate. Is that correct?
Yeah, the updates that happened to so I think I did throw in some examples of what would be considered a reasonable amendment to the community improvement plan without having to go through the statutory process.
So what I'm getting at is if right now
We'll add it later.
Yeah, this is a very comprehensive program right now, and I think that once we get into it and it moves along to the point that we have a CIP, and then we can start narrowing down or expanding once we actually have it in place, is my thought. If there are no other questions from council at this time, I have one question that I'd like to ask you. How does work in kind fall into this? So if I'm somebody that is, maybe I'm a painter and I have a paint shop, and I say I can do my facade for $5,000, if I, would the municipality put $2,500 in if I paint the place myself? So I'm wondering if somebody has a skill or something like that. I've never seen it in a CIP before where there's in kind. So I just want to clarify that up with you, if somebody's able to do that, or is it generally out of the scope?
So I would normally, when it comes to funding, it's probably not the greatest to do that. But we can, like, again, it's up to council as to whether or not they would like to entertain that. You certainly have the ability to do that if you'd like.
I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying, I'm trying to get an idea. As I say, I tried looking it up and I couldn't find it in any CIPs, and I'm just, I'm wondering whether the information and what they've done over the years is they've decided that doesn't work because it can open up to fraud possibly, or where everybody, and maybe there's one person that commits fraud and 9 that don't, but it always puts that emphasis on. So I just thought I'd bring that up, because
the challenging piece in my mind would be, how do you prove that the quote you got or the in-kind contribution is accurate, right? So you might think it's a $2,500 job. I may say it's a $7,500 job to maximize those funds. How do you know what that value is, right?
And that's what I just wanted to point out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea to have it in there. As I say, I haven't seen it in any other ones, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yep, no, that's fair. Thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
I'm still unclear of what kind of direction is needed now I really want to make sure we can get surveys in. Is there any more you can tell me? What do we need to do?
So what we have here is we have a CIP that we're either looking for direction to bring it back to council, or direction to review and bring back to council with an option or other options. So if we would just be looking for council to direct us to look into how to add it to the plan, because it's not like we're adopting today. We're actually looking for feedback.
Councillor Thompson.
And would that require a motion at this meeting?
Ideally, it would come through, I don't know. Ashley, how would you like to proceed with that?
What I can do is just take that feedback, and if council's okay with it, I can just address a quick memo at the next meeting to say how we could incorporate it, and with some options on, you know, what I recommend and other things that you can consider.
Good.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson is nodding her head, so that's
okay. Great.
All right. If there are no other questions, comments, concerns, all in favor? That was carried. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Ashley. Get that camera fixed.
Yeah, I will.
Well, my mouth won't move on, but the rest of us will. Finance and Administration Department, 12.1, Single Source Award, 2026 Development Charges Background Study. Resolution, please.
That council approve the single source award of the 2026 Development Charges Background Study and Bylaw Update to Watson and Associates Economists in the amount of $26,400 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
This is to single source award our development charge study to Watson Associates. So in 2022 would have been the first time we did a real overhaul on the development charges study. At the time, we had Watson Associates come in and complete that review. They are the experts within the development charges world. And so what we're looking for this time is to, as part of our renewal, which I mean our bylaw expires on December 31st, 2026, would be to proceed with the same consultants to complete the development charges study. This time around, we are looking to go a bit further too. We're currently in discussions with them to add a component. So this is the development charges study, but another component that does a more thorough growth analysis to help us plan for the future. So in this case, we're looking more to proceed with them with the development charges study. The intent here is to complete it, have it available to council final draft study by September 2026. You'll be seeing a few of our items are going to start hitting the election date. So we're trying to have presentation before and bylaw after. But at this time, this is the timeline we're working on in hopes to have it in force as of January 2027. If there's no bylaw passed by then, there's no development charges as of January 1st, 2027.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen. Thank you. So I will call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. All righty. We'll now move on to 12.2. Renfrew and Area Health Services Village, final payment. Resolution, please.
The Council of the Township of Greater Madawaska approved the contribution of $36,000 to Renfrew and Area Health Services Village, representing the township's proportionate share of the outstanding balance under the 2013 financing agreement.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, CAO.
So back in 2010, the township entered into an agreement with Horton, Amaston, Bromley, and the town of Renfrew for recruitment of physicians. And so the Renfrew Area Health Services Village was established. This agreement included some recruitment programming funding of $2.1 million. And this agreement expired back in 2024, would have been the last payment. As part of the agreement, following the passing of that agreement in 2013, another agreement in 2014 was signed, executing a formal debt guarantee agreement capping its exposure at the lesser of 25% of the outstanding balance, or $127,500. So the board, which has closed off, I believe, in December of 2025, has completed with a deficit and has requested from the municipalities the $36,000 to fund that deficit. So each municipality has contributed their $36,000, and this will close off the agreement for the recruitment of physician. It fits within their capping exposure, that the lesser of 25% of the outstanding balance, or $127,500. Therefore, staff is recommending that we fund the closure to discharge the township of the remaining obligation.
Thank you. Is there any questions, comments, concerns from council? Alrighty. Councillor Tripp. Okay then.
Thank you. So I understand the contractual obligation we have here, but we have been pursuing this for quite some time. And we were briefed about the situation when we first came on council 4 years ago by the group. And since that time, we've been trying to get a handle and understanding on it. I do recognize the need to bring this to closure, but it is somewhat frustrating in absence of a knowledge or understanding of the deficit, how it came to be, and any audit function on that. But as a party to the table, we have that responsibility. I just find it challenging, given the nature of it, and especially because the 36,000 is 3/4 of a point for our position, and it's coming out of our health services, or sorry, our health hub reserve, which is funds that we've worked quite hard to put into the fund in order to work towards our own health programs in our community. It's going to leave us with just slightly over $6,000. It's factual, we have no choice, but I just wanted to express my concern over the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns from council? Thank you, Councillor Tripp. And yes, it has been some time that we've been looking at this and understanding the governance that was going on behind it and trying to source out the issues. However, contractually, we are bound. If we were to fight this for some reason, it would cost us a fair bit more in legal fees than what this is. So we are paying this off because we are contractually obligated to it. I'm saying we are paying it off. We haven't had the vote yet. But contractually, we are pretty well bound. So if there are no other questions from council, I will call the question. All in favor? That has carried unanimously, so thank you. We will now move on to 12.3, bylaw 17-2026, council remuneration for the term 2026 to 2030 term. Resolution, please.
That council approve bylaw 17, 2026, being a bylaw to set rates for remuneration for members of council for the term of 2026 to 2030.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please, Renee.
We are bringing forward the bylaw to adopt the wages or the remuneration for members of council for the term 2026 to 2030, with the exception of the adjustments for COLA annually. This would come into force on the first day in office. The recommendation that was, or the option that was chosen by council at the last meeting was option D, which is maintain the current council remuneration and benefits framework. Therefore, we have provided the bylaw based off salaries as of now for councillors and mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion item from council? There are none. When we put this before us last time, I had some things to say, and I'm going to bring them up again. The fact that we are freezing wages at 2022 levels, the fact that we're not offering benefits. We have people in this community that possibly would like to run, but we don't know. They would be looking at a minimum each year. You have your 11 Thursdays for general meeting, then we have special meetings, and then we have Roma and AMO. So you're looking at possibly 30 days a year somebody would have to dedicate to this position. But that's without going to the community events and things. Now, if we have somebody that works shift work or another type of job, they're having to take 30 days no pay every year at 2022 wages. And remember, we're freezing, well, if we go ahead with this, we're freezing that salary till 2030. So that's 8 years at 2022. Now, we want to attract more people. We want more people to be able to come out and run against us. We have 5 seats here. Those 5 seats are up for grabs for people who want to come in. But we have to make it presentable for somebody that has a part-time job or somebody that works from home that would want to come out and be part of this community and run for council. By not offering or at least benefits, a big thing for people that are having their own jobs. Some are very lucky and very prosperous at the jobs and they don't need it, but there are others in this community that don't have it and the benefits would attract them. Now, it has been said that, well, possibly those people aren't the right people for council. How do we determine that? That is up to the voters to determine who they want. but we have to have people attracted that would want to run for these positions. And the fact that even council themselves, this, I want more people to run. I don't want to limit who's running against us. I want to attract people and let the voters decide. And I think if you look on the big scale of things, the salary part is not a huge part of it. Yes, it's part of it to attract, to make up for those 30 days, the lost wages possibly, but it's also the benefits. And I want to be progressive and attract people. I want people with their thoughts and their ideas. And some of them may be older than us, maybe younger than us, but everybody has different life experiences that they can bring to this table. And I want to attract those people. So I guess you know how I'm going to be voting on this. And if there is nothing left to be said by council, Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
I would like to say that I agree with you, except that right now we are having to, so that we can meet our financial obligations to our asset management plan over the next, I think it's 10 years now, we have an automatic percentage that has to go on to the tax base so we can not be bankrupt, so we can actually continue current levels of service. And I think with every taxpayer knowing that they're helping us get to, we're all spending our tax money to get to that, I think our wages, shouldn't be raised at this point. If we had extra money, I know it's not a huge part of the total tax, but I think where we need to, if we're going to have any increase of level of service, if we're going to have any increase, it should go to programs. And that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And in response, just 1 second, Councillor Tripp. In response to that, these aren't our positions, but these are because we want to attract people to run, and that's what I'm. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. So the attraction to the seat, you're correct. These aren't our positions. We have the honor of holding the stewardship for our 4 years, and that's coming to an end. So the positions are all open. At $20,000, it's not huge money. It's not a full-time job. You give and take as much as you want in the position. I think what's attracting people, and through my circles and when I have conversations about council, over the last 4 years, there's been an increased interest in these seats because we're progressively moving things forward so quickly. We as a team over the last 4 years have accomplished so much, and that's the legacy that we leave for the table coming in behind us. I think the attraction is not just on the money, it's on the attraction of how well our team is working, the staff, the things are moving forward, the really exciting projects we have, that will attract people of interest to say, I want to put my teeth into this and carry it to the next level. It's not just about the dollar. And I do agree. I think, we're at a time and a threshold here where there's a lot of uncertainty financially. We need our capital reserves. We're doing incredibly well as a township when we look at the scale, but we need to maintain that. So I kind of tend to stay with the original position that we had at the first vote. I think it's more than just about money to attract people to these seats. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do agree, people want to get involved. And there may be a lot more that just can't afford it without the benefits. But I would like to attract more people. So anyway, Councillor Thompson.
I think there are plenty of people who can afford to do a part-time job at the 20,000, whatever it is, a year, that we haven't until now, we, the township, haven't attracted who would be really willing to do it. I don't think adding, $2,000 a year for the average councillor's salary would make anyone who is not financially able to take on that responsibility. I don't think that. I think let's assume that there are all kinds of people, such as ourselves, who are able to take time from our business and get compensated for it for the benefit of the community. I don't want people taking the job, asking for the job. I know they have to be voted because they need the money. At this point.
Thank you, and that's kind of emphasized my point that without attracting those people and segregating them off because they can't possibly afford missing 30 days a year from work, my point is we need to include those people too. So if there is nothing further, I call for the vote, and I would actually ask for a recorded vote on this, clerk.
Mayor Weir,
Opposed.
Councillor Levesque,
For.
Councillor Popke,
4.
Councillor Thompson,
4.
Councillor Tripp,
4.
There we have it. Thank you. We will now move on to section 12.4, Highway 41, Griffith Mile Speed Review. Resolution, please.
The council directs staff to formally request the Ministry of Transportation review the posted speed limit along Highway 41 through the village of Griffith, the Griffith Mile, and reduce the speed limit from 80 kilometers an hour to 60 kilometers an hour were in consideration of the settlement area, intersecting municipal roads, community facilities, and ongoing safety concerns observed by residents and the township and confirmed through the recent traffic study, and that this request be forwarded to the local member of provincial parliament for their information and support.
Thank you. Mover, please. Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Tripp. Background, please, Renee.
Yes, so this concern with residents has been going on for several years, even dating back to 2015 and 17. There was petitions submitted to the township regarding the speed limit, and therefore in 2022, council again heard residents and their concerns regarding vehicle speeds and traffic conditions down the Griffith Mile, met with the OPP and then MTO at the time. So it took some time to be able to get a traffic study completed and a traffic study provided to the township. We have received a traffic study, and we're recommending proceeding with some more of a push on the provincial level on adjustments for the speed. More or less due to the study identifying the speeds. More importantly here, it's the average speeds between approximately 75 and 78 kilometers an hour. So what you have is a road at 80 kilometers an hour with some higher speeds, but the average speed be below the speed limit. And we're kind of, we've been working with the county discussing other roads that are county owned, and they use the 85th percentile to determine if the road speed should change based off turnoff. So the intent here is that if the road has people going for maximum speed of 119 kilometers an hour, and you have vehicles on average at 75 to 78, then it's a condition for showing that a lot of turnoffs, people slowing down, and then accidents may occur. With this study, it really determined that we have more to demonstrate on advocating for the adjustment in speed. And when you go through some of the communities, I mean, throughout the county, outside the county, you can see those small communities where you come up to and the speed is reduced to 60. So it's even down 41, so it's a bit abnormal that that area does not have a reduced speed. With this information, I have responded to our MTO contact to let them know that we will be recommended to pursue this. So they give me a new contact for pursuing. So if council is supportive of that, we'll move to the next steps.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. So this was the study done in 2023. At that, I think what we wanted to do was do a new study that would show not just speeds, but direction of travel, so we'd know if they're passing, and that we have the equipment to do that sort of thing. And, you know, how far apart, the length of the vehicles, whether they're ATVs or trailers. And we were told from what you were telling me that they didn't want to let us put our CAT equipment on the highway this year because it was a construction season and that would falsely change the pattern of traffic. And at the time we had a meeting, we were told there just aren't, they have metrics they use, MTO has metrics they use, and we were told there just aren't enough entryways in that stretch to merit trying to get the traffic to slow down. And I'm wondering if anything has changed, because they're just going on the metrics. They're looking at line of sight, yeah, it's safe for passing, but not looking into account. Now, they also said they were very sympathetic, but they also said they could look into doing one intersection, a shorter bunch, so from the bridge with, you know, Church Street and another street on the highway, and a number of businesses, so that what's happening is people are coming out of Madawaska Road, never getting up to speed, and going to the general store, or they don't get up to speed even though they've gone a kilometer to go to the general. Do you think this will be successful, or do you think we still need to ask them to put our CAT so we can get more information?
Go ahead. I was just going to say this, the information that Renee is relying on is from the ministry. It's their stats that she has built it on, showing, using their data and their matrix to show why it's necessary to have a 60 in this zone.
Is that new information?
Yeah, they actually provided the metrics, I want to say maybe early last year for 2023. And then they did not allow us to put the CAT on the road there. They still don't respond for us to put that there. But that doesn't mean that we could not consider, while we're still navigating this, putting one on. But yes, the information here is from a study they've provided.
Okay.
Yes. I would assume the study was probably provided for when they were completing that road. They would have had to do the traffic study to actually complete it, where it probably was not connected with.
Steve?
So if we even did put the black cat up, you're not going to get like passing information. It's set up and it picks one lane and you measure the lane from the other side. So it's going to just get each direction. It's not going to get any more like for passing, and it's just going to keep track of speeding as well. As the same as this information, it's not going to get any different information.
And then with the study they've provided, it actually shows you in areas how many vehicles are turning versus coming in. So there is a lot of information that comes out of it. We're going to lean on it significantly for that component to us, what highlights it is that average speed being below the actual speed, which demonstrate that there's slow moving traffic there.
Thank you. So are you, supplemental? Are we feeling hopeful that this will have an effect?
We would like to proceed to the next step with that, because we, in 2022, the decision was walk away, talk about these studies, and this is the next, this is the first time we have an opportunity to move to next step. So.
Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. I'm glad we're talking about moving to the next step. If you recall, I think it was our first meeting we had collectively as a group. We went up and had the meeting with OPP and MTO. We were very green at the time. All I recall from that meeting was a willingness to stand the standard talk and not to make any movement. And there's a number of roads where they go from 80 kilometers down to 60 and then back up to 80 on county roads. So there was a bit, my takeaway from that early meeting was there wasn't a lot of appetite to look into it. I think now it's taken 4 years, but I think now that we have something with data that we can take that next step is encouraging. And we're seeing more movement on roads around the area. So I think cautious optimism may be in the best way to phrase our next step, but we're taking that next step, which is important.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? Councillor Lebec.
Thank you for that, Renee. I think it's a great step forward, as Councillor Tripp noted. I guess a couple of questions regarding other things that were brought up at that time. One was the turning lanes and the other was the lighting. Is there any thought about going forward with any of those things, or is it really we want to limit it to the speed at this point?
In this case, we'd be speaking to the road period, what's going on in Griffith. So we're trying to get the attention with that. So I'll go back to the conversations around that. Lighting side of things, staff's researching more options for lighting, so that'll be coming up. But yeah, turning lanes would be the option, yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No, thank you. It's great that MTO is supplying the data that supports our cause, so, and is very well needed up in Griffith. So thank you for that. And I'll call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 12.5, Calabogie Junction Health and Wellness Hub Implementation Readiness Plan. Resolution, please.
That council endorse the Calabogie Junction Health and Wellness Hub Implementation Readiness Plan as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Lebec. Background, please.
So at the January council meeting, I would have provided an update from the framework from October 2025 and public consultation. So I won't go too much into detail with that. Following our council meeting, we had a delegation at the ministry, which really helped us identify potential next steps and how to move forward and really solidify more of this partnership component. So the intent of the implementation readiness plan is really to establish a pathway for evaluating and advancing the health and wellness hub. Been continuing to have meetings and conversations with ministry staff, and it really, this would put us into another step of moving forward with this project. And there are funding through the Green Municipal Fund for feasibility studies and opportunities there. So this plan actually kind of sets us to be able to have those conversations and maybe apply for some funding for feasibility, along with having these capital alignment discussions with ministry for ministry funding. So the report, less lengthy than the last one. I was trying not to be too repetitive. The intent of it is really on the last page where we're talking about the next steps and moving forward. So then it allows us to be able to move through the milestones.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concern, discussion items from council? Councillor Lebec.
Just thank you to our CAO and all the people who put effort into this, and including all of the council members that were present at the recent Roma and all those other great opportunities and behind the scenes to make it happen. So a big step forward now, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Tripp.
Just following up on Councillor Lebec, I think, and for the public, it's a lengthy report. It captures a lot of the detail in terms of the path forward in the road, but the last page really sums it up with that one pictorial of the road that we're heading on to get to the final destination of the health and wellness hub launch, and the different steps we need to go through. That, I think, is something that's going to resonate with our community because it's quick, it's easy, and it talks about the path forward. And I just want to echo what Jeff said. This has become a very strong collaborative journey, not just at this table, but within staff, within partners, within the community, within different ministries. So it's really developed a life of its own, which I'm quite proud of to see all of us collaboratively walking forward with this. So thank you, Jeff, for your comments.
Thank you. Is there anything further from council? No, I just think it's absolutely amazing that an idea and a vision can start all this. And that's the beauty of of municipal government, provincial and federal, is somebody comes to you with an idea, or an idea is brought up internally, and you can work on it for the constituents and bring it to a community. And I liken our staff, well, pretty well most times, I liken them to a duck. They look very, very calm on the surface, but below the water, the feet are moving absolutely amazing to make things look like it's calm. So staff is doing a great job, and Renee, I know that with you spearheading this, that it's going to be a success. So thank you for this presentation and the update. So I will call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Oops. We'll now move on to bylaw 19-2026, Calabogie Lions Club Agreement. Resolution, please.
The council adopt bylaw 19-2026, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Calabogie Lions Club, Inc. for the operation and management of the Calabogie Community Hall.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second. Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So this is a renewal, essentially, of an agreement. We've been in an agreement for a 10-year term. The renewal essentially is only 5 years, with a renewal 5 years, so it allows us to kind of have discussions between. The bylaw is very similar to the bylaw that we put forward with the Griffith and Embiid Lions Club last year, where we're kind of solidifying a bit more of how the liability requirements and who does what. And in this facility here, we've been using it a lot, so it allows us to do that and adjust. And then they've adjusted to include, I think it was the library for usage of the facility. So other than that, we've met with the Lions Club on Monday, and we've reached an agreement with the agreement. So I've attached it here for council endorsement.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I just have one question. The 3 community groups that get 6 uses free per year, who pays insurance? Like, whose insurance, and is there a security deposit or anything like that?
Similar to any other, like when you have the market come and do and pay for the insurance fees. So you have the 55 plus club comes in and they pay the insurance through us. If somebody already has insurance, such as in this example would be the library, then they would follow that insurance. So if you have insurance, you provide a certificate to demonstrate. If not, then you may pay for insurance.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Security deposits, is that part of the insurance?
No, but we can have conversations with the Lions Club on what that looks like for security deposits for usage. My understanding is the groups don't have the security deposit, but I'll look into that.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No, I just, when you said security deposits and brought that up, I think perhaps maybe when they're using the kitchen, they should have a security deposit for the countertops and everything. But if there's no other questions, comments, concerns, call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 13.1, Canada Post rate reduction for libraries. Motion brought forward by Councillor Thompson. Resolution, please.
The council support resolution number 2026-078, carried by the Council of the Township of Perry on February 18th, 2026, calling upon the Government of Canada to maintain and protect reduced rate postal distribution for library materials, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Township of Perry Minister of Government Transformation, Public Services and Procurement, Joelle Lightbound, MP Cheryl Gallant, MPP Billy Deneau, and all Ontario municipalities for support.
Councillor Thompson. Oh, do we have a mover yet on that? I didn't get a mover. Councillor Thompson to move, and second by Councillor Tripp. And background, please, Councillor Thompson.
Okay.
I was getting ahead of myself again.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. There was a discount that was Canada Post gave to libraries that was managed through the Ontario Library Board. And for our library, and it's for interlibrary loans. So last year, we shipped 197 books out to different libraries. And it depends on where they're going, how much it is. But the total rebate was $478.80. And right now, Canada Post is proposing to stop doing that. So it's enough. I mean, it's every penny counts, right? So that's why I think it should be supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? No, I guess I imagine Canada Post is looking at this as a business decision since they're losing so many. Well, I don't have to say it. Anyways, I calls the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 13.2, Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, OCIF, extension. Motion brought forward by Councillor Thompson. Resolution, please.
That council support resolution number 7 carried by the council of the Township of North Glengarry on February 23rd, 2026, calling for an extension and review of the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, OCIF, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Township of North Glengarry, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and all Ontario municipalities.
Thank you. A mover, Councillor Thompson for moving, and second, Councillor Popke. Background, please, Councillor Thompson.
This is another case where the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund was created in 2015 to assist small and rural municipalities facing infrastructure deficits that exceed their local revenue capabilities. And in 2022, the Government of Ontario committed to increase the annual amount from 100 million to 400 million over a 5-year term. And with that commitment scheduled to expire at the end of fiscal 2026, we would like to urge them to keep that extra funding. Pretty much covers it.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? Councillor Thompson, would you mind just reading the entire resolution? I'm joking. Okay, if there are no other questions from council, I call the question. All in favor? That is carried, so thank you. It is now, we're moving into 14.1, enter into closed session. Resolution, please.
That the council meeting of March 19th, 2026 enter into closed session at 4:57 p.m. pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act regarding a position plan procedure criteria or instruction to be applied to negotiations, specifically strategic partnership and capital funding paths, Calabogie Health and Wellness Hub.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Tripp. All in favor to go into closed? I are in closed. Thank you very much, and we are out of our closed session at 5:30 PM. We are now moving on to 15.1, Rise and Report. Move to Rise and Report. Resolution, please.
The council moves back into open session at 5:31 PM and reports the following as a result of a closed meeting item regarding A, position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations, specifically strategic partnership and capital funding pathways, Calabogie Health and Wellness Hub. Receive as information. Discussion item.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Do we have a mover, please? Councillor Tripp, second. Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We now move on to 16.1, bylaw approval. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw 18/2026 confirmatory be deemed read a first, second, and final time and passed by council at the regular council meeting held March 19th, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. 17.1, motion to adjourn. Resolution, please.
That the regular council meeting of March 19th, 2026 be adjourned at 5:33 PM.
We have a mover, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Popke. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We are done.